Hello and welcome back to Planet Sail and episode 7 of On Course, our regular look at the sailing world. Welcome back also to our home here at Warsash Sailing Club on the south coast of the UK. Now, in this episode, we catch up with the Cup, look inside an Antonov and find out about green resins, blue water and a cool cat in Dock Talk. But first, which do you think would be more difficult? Racing a 35-foot one design around the English Channel and Western approaches, or racing alone around the world? I thought so, but there's at least one top French offshore sailor who wouldn't agree. To him, the Solitaire du Figaro is harder than the Vendée Globe. So to find out why, I headed over to the heart of the action in France. The only man to have won the infamous single-handed solo race around the world twice says that the Solitaire du Figaro is harder than the Vendée Globe. It's a bold call, but then having won the Figaro 3 times, he should know. This race is tough, really tough. Changeable weather, tides, shipping and lots of rocks. This is not a place to be tired, but skippers are permanently sleep deprived. Yet they still need to make quick decisions to keep on the pace. The Figaro has been a breeding ground for solo sailors for over half a century. And last year, when travel was easy, we headed to the event to talk to some of the world's greatest solo sailors about why the Figaro is so special, as they took part in the 50th anniversary. But first, here's what happened in this year's event. Leg 1 was a 640-mile race to the Fastnet Rock and back. The 35-strong fleet set off in a confused sea state before light winds applied pressure on the skippers for their first night at sea. Xavier Macaire aboard Group SNEF took an early lead and held on to it to finish after 3 days and 17 hours. But his winning margin over second place Loïc Berhard was just 1 minute and 35 seconds. Leg 2 was 400 miles from the Baie de Saint-Brieuc to Dunkirk. It started with a tricky beat towards the Cornish coast in light and shifty winds. The breeze then built, and by the time the fleet were heading east up the English Channel, it was reigning Vendée Globe champion Armel Leclerc on board Banque Populaire that had taken the lead. From there, he never gave it back, finishing 34 minutes ahead of Britain's Sam Goodchild, who had overhauled Jan Elise in the final miles to the line. This was Goodchild's best ever Figaro result, sandwiched between two offshore heavyweights. In leg 3 from Dunkirk back to Loire Atlantique, Goodchild and Elise were the leading pair as the fleet headed back along the French coast. A combination of very light winds, strong current and multiple transition zones meant it was a game of snakes and ladders as the fleet split into two camps, those that went north and those that chose south. In the end, it was the southerly group that benefited, with Solitaire veteran and the oldest skipper in the fleet, Fred Dutil, taking the leg win. This time, Armel Leclerc picked his way through the patchy conditions to finish 4th. But Goodchild had a shocker, finishing the third leg nearly 3 hours behind. Leg 4 was always set to be a short one, but the wind refused to turn up, forcing the abandonment of the final leg. So the final results were as they stood at the end of leg 3, delivering Armel Leclerc with his third Figaro victory.
C'est génial, je suis super heureux, c'était une attente très longue mais malheureusement il n'y a pas eu de vent. Clairement, voilà, on ne pouvait pas prendre un départ, donc c'est la bonne décision et je suis super heureux voilà, d'atteindre l'objectif recherché depuis 2 ans, gagner cette 3e solitaire et donc génial. Ouais, je suis...
Fred Dutil's impressive performance had been sufficient to claim second overall, with the young Frenchman Tom Leperche taking third. A particularly impressive performance given that this was only his second solitaire appearance. Sam Goodchild had been third going into leg 3, but plummeted down the rankings to finish 17th. Meanwhile, the Vivi Trophy for the best non-French sailor went to Ireland's Tom Dolan.
Before I came, I kind of had a dream. I wanted to do well, and I wanted to get in the top 15 was kind of my secret objective. But I was afraid to tell anyone because in case I didn't do it, fifth is a way more than I would have imagined, and I'm delighted. Yeah, just to be able to race in the league groups and be ahead is amazing. Yeah, great, delighted.
It's frequently said in France that the Figaro is a drug. And given the number of skippers that come back year after year to put themselves through the highs and lows, it's easy to see why it has this reputation. Last year's 50th anniversary brought some of the biggest names back onto the racecourse, and I started by asking the king of them all, Michel Desjoyaux, why he thought the Figaro was so tough.
I think it's the toughest race you can imagine. I say that it can be pretentious, but it's just mathematical. I made it 12 times. It will be my 13th time this year. I won it 3 times, and I made 2 Vendée Globe. I won 2 Vendée Globe. It's just mathematics. People who doesn't know this race, they ask me, what is this race? And I tell them, if you want to understand this race, don't come to see a start. The start is very impressive, 47 boats, crossing, single-handed. How they don't break all the boats each time before the first race. Coucou mon bonhomme. Before the first bureau, it's incredible. They fight, they cross, top, and there is no problem. But the guys are alone on a 10-meter boat. It's quite incredible. And I say, no, don't come to see the start. You have to see the finish line. When the guy arrive here with the guy completely destroyed, the ice red because of the sea, of the salt of the tide, the absence of the lake of sleep and so on, and then you see the face destroyed but happy when they win, and completely destroyed when they don't win, and then you understand really how we push hard during 2, 3, 4 days.
And when Desjoyaux and other French offshore rock stars describe this race in these terms, it just feeds the addiction in others.
Solitaire is a drug. The good drug, but a drug. Each second is important in this race. The more short time between 2 skippers during this race is Armé Lecléache and Alain Gauthier, only 13 seconds at the end of 1 month of the race.
Such tight winning margins after 2,000 miles of racing are what drive the skippers so hard. One small mistake and it's easy to lose everything.
Remember the Figaro race in the 80s? I can tell you it was harder, really harder, because the automatic pilot didn't exist. It was aerial and downwind. It was with the Spinnaker. It was, and you have to steer. When you have a leg between Brest and La Coruña, you know it was northeasterly wind. Like in summer, it's you take your helm, you have your box with the chart because you have no GPS, the chart, the food. And you steer downwind with 25 knots and you steer 50 hours.
Yep, that's what he said. 50 hours on the helm, non-stop, alone.
When I was 18, I prepared my first Figaro race. I go to nightclub with friends, and each hours I go to my car to have a 15-minute nap, and I come back to the And you have two benefits. First of all, you train your body to have a nap, short nap. And secondly, at the end of the night, at 4 or 5 hours in the morning, your friends are really tired. You have slept a 5 nap, and with the girl you are better because you are still.
A Vendée Globe win is precisely what Jeremy Bayo is aiming for in his Imoca 60 Charal. And with 3 Figaro wins, many say he's well on his way. But he's under no illusion as to what his success means.
Being a champion on whatever, winning the Volvo or winning the Vendée, what that guarantees to you is that the other guys, they want to eat you, they want to kill you. When you're doing offshore racing or ocean racing, you have to be mentally strong. But when you are solo racer, it's the top level of strengthness, mental strengthness, because you have nobody to tell you, listen, it's not finished, there is one more leg, it's not your fault, you're not lucky. You just have to say to you that all that little things to keep you working. So yeah, you have to be strong, especially in this race.
Armel Leclerc is the current Vendée Globe champion. He's won the Figaro twice, and he knows what the connections are.
It's good for feeling, because when you are in a big boat, you forget the feelings, because you are concentrated with with the computer, with technologies and a lot of things, and you forget just to see the clouds and the weather and the current, because it's not the priority. But it's important to come back.
Sleep deprivation is a big deal in the Figaro, and it can be a debilitating and disorientating experience, as Alan Roberts knows only too well.
Once you've hit that red zone and you've gone into sleep, and then you wake up after that suddenly, and that takes an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to even come to sense. I've had it before when I've been in that place and I've gone to sleep in the bunk in the Figaro too, and I've been woken up by something, and you wake up and you don't even know where you are, and it takes you about 5 minutes. You're there and your head's spinning, and you say, okay, right, I'm in a boat. I know I'm in a boat. Okay, I'm in a bunk. Well, where's the front of the boat? How do I get out of the bunk? And this is about 10 minutes after you've woken up. Get out of the bunk, you're like, okay, right. Like, whoa, you're struggling to focus your eyes on the chart. You're like moving it around, you can't see the mouse on the computer screen. You finally click on it, you find where the boat is. You're like, okay, I'm here. Oh, right, and you go up on deck, you're like, okay, what's going on? What sails have I got? And it's so, that disorientation takes 45 minutes to an hour to get over.
But with the lows come some major highs.
I remember one particular case for myself in my second leg of the first time I did it. It was cold and wet and wasn't doing very well, and the weather wasn't great, and I had to go on the foredeck to change a headsail, and we're bouncing up and down and waves coming over me, going down my back of my neck, and I'm looking up saying, oh, this is costing me a lot of money and time, and I'm not really enjoying this. What am I doing here? And you spiral into yourself in a deep way, and because you're tired, things just become darker, and then I finished the maneuver, and next thing the clouds part, the sun's beaming through, and a dolphin jumps out of the water beside the boat, and you just think, you look around, and it's fantastic cliffs beside me, you say, this is the most amazing thing, no one is able to see this except me, and that's only 5 minutes later. So you've got these massive highs and lows, and when you're tired, that just makes it worse.
And it never gets any easier.
It's like to beginning each time you come on this race. You have to fight against young skippers, which arrive with a mouse in each hand. They are skippers 2.0. So each time you have to be better, to relearn lots of things that you can use after on the big boat, like for the Vendée Globe or multi-hull.
In this league, Loic Peyron is one of the biggest names in offshore sailing and has been competing in the Figaro since the early days.
Figaro 1 was completely crazy. Downwind, I remember the first, I've done the first year of Figaro 1 in the 80s, I don't remember when. Strong wind down to Spain and with a good northwesterly line, and we had to jibe all together, and you had to steer 24 hours. The safe steering was a little Autohelm Catmill, you know, the one you have to unplug like that, which was with the runners, with the mast like that. And then for the jibes, the only way to jibe was to the boat. All the boats were upside down or not far. That was catastrophic. Yeah, I know, scary. Yes, they were a bit scary. Yeah.
So does he have a favourite?
The best trip you've never done is the next one. And because you are thinking, dreaming about that, and preparing the boat and trimming and doing that, and well, why you are doing this little stuff like that, you're thinking about the fact that you are going to race on a boat like that. While you are racing, sometimes it's not the best part. It's very good before, it's quite nice after, but then in the middle, I mean the main part, sometimes you say, man, what the f am I doing here? And then you want to be back, because that's the proper of the human being.
People keep saying it's a drug. Is it a drug?
No. Yes. You never know. In fact, maybe yes, but not for me, because last time I used that needle that was 15 years ago. So one shoot every 15 years, that's fine.
So with this year's Figaro now complete, all eyes will turn to the Vendée Globe, and by Michel Desjoyeau's reckoning, that's the easy bit. Earlier this year, we reported on the innovative and rather cool-looking HH66 from the Hudson Yacht Group. Now, the company is up to the ante and announced details of their new flagship, the HH88. The new Morelli and Melvin design continues the innovative theme that characterised the 66, and this is a maxi cruising cat on a mission, where keeping the weight down and performance up was the key goal. The structure starts with 5 large main bulkheads that tie the hulls and deck to oppose the large racking loads. Construction consists of a resin-infused special triaxial carbon sandwich laminate. Modular parts are built separately before then being installed using an assembly jig, while the interior is a largely foam cored mahogany veneer which provides a plush finish without putting on the pounds. In a detailed VPP study, short hull keels were found to provide an efficient and less expensive way of achieving the target performance. And when you're talking about cruising at 20 knots, who's going to argue with that? Newport, Rhode Island is famous for its mansions, yacht clubs and racing, but the New England town has got more to it than that. Here, the community believes that protecting the local environment starts with understanding their own backyard. And 11th Hour Racing is working with a number of local organisations to find out some of the answers. One of the many projects is a STEM education programme for Newport students as part of their curriculum. Newport Film runs public outdoor screenings of environmentally focused documentaries. Composting food waste rather than using landfill sites reduces methane output and the runoff that contributes to toxic algal blooms. And then there's the Marina Trash Skimmer project that is run by Clean Oceans Access. 8 filters run 24/7 to collect the rubbish that gathers in corners of marinas. They cost just $1 a day in electricity, take 15 to 30 minutes to empty and maintain, and have retrieved over 15 tonnes of waste since 2016. But for all the technology that's helping to clean up, in Newport it's the community that's at the heart of making it happen. There's nothing new in environmentally friendly resins, at least not for Sycamen. Founded in 1983, they started producing green resins for the ski and surfboard market before moving on to other areas of composite construction. Over 50% of the molecular structure of Sickermann's green poxy range is derived from plant material. Yet it still has the same structural properties as the resin derived solely from petrochemical products. It's no more expensive either, plus there are no new techniques required to handle it. Among their customers in the marine world, Greenboats use this resin for their elegant and innovative Flax 27-day sailor. Her laminate was flax fibres, you probably guessed that bit, along with Sickermann's Infogreen and Green Poxy 33 resins, and she's an absolute beauty. You can see more on the Flax 27 in a feature we produced earlier this year. In the meantime, it's great to see another step in the journey towards that greener future. Things are hotting up in the America's Cup world as we count down towards the very first race between these AC75s on the 17th of December. Plus, we're just about to see the second boats from the teams, the boats they're going to be using through the event itself. So there's plenty of pressure. Meanwhile, the Kiwis have been scorching around their home patch, as have the American team, although under the rules they're not allowed to line up against each other.
Pretty epic day today. It was the first time there's been two AC75s out on the wider meadow. American Magic's been here for a little while now, but have our boat out at the same time as them. Pretty cool day and pretty cool to see two boats out there duking it out where the cup will be in a few months' time.
I guess it gets the competitive juices flowing a bit more, and you just get excited about what's to come. And a bit of a distance away from us, but just to see it out there falling around, and definitely gets you making a bit more of an effort in every snap or tack and jibe you do. So definitely exciting, and looking forward to actually getting to race them at some point.
It definitely steps up the intensity a little bit here, and there'll be some pretty exciting times over the next few months, seeing what steps each design team's taken, when they launch their boat twos and when they put on new foils. So pretty exciting time.
Meanwhile, the British team was busy flying its second boat down to New Zealand using the giant Antonov transporter. Having spent the summer testing and training on their first boat, which is currently on a ship to Auckland, their focus will now be on boat number 2. This is expected to be quite a departure from the first design, probably more in line with the Kiwi and Italian designs. But until she gets unwrapped and launched, we won't know. But what is clear is that even the team doesn't really know how she'll stack up against the competition, and there's no time to change their minds now. No pressure then. So what does the Ineos boss Grant Simmer think? After all, he's been here plenty of times before.
Yeah, so the Antonov landed at 9 o'clock tonight, right on schedule, and Hendo and a group of the guys went out there and helped unload the boat together with the Antonov crew. And then the boat and the foil arms, boxes with foil arms in, came here, and they've unloaded it at the base. We've got everything safely tucked away in the shed here now. RB2 is a hell of a development on our first boat, and it's almost 10 months ago when we decided on the hull shape. Nick Holroyd's team signed off on the hull shape 10 months ago, and here we are getting ready to finish the boat, commission it finally, and go sailing in a few weeks' time. Yeah, actually it's a hell of an achievement for our team to get this boat built on time, get all the systems into the boat, and navigate our way through COVID restrictions and a very, very unusual world that we currently live in. So it's really good to get the boat here on schedule, almost to the day. So we're all very proud of what this team's done to achieve that. And looking forward to getting it on the water and getting it sailing.
Now, while we wait to see the new boat afloat, here's an interesting snippet from the Brits showing a rare view of what it's like in the cockpit. Any idea what those numbers mean? No, me neither. It's another world. Now, when it comes to the Italians, we still don't know very much about their boat, but they made a very cool video about shipping boat number 2 to Auckland. Plus, we get to see what's inside an Antonov. Just look at those analog instruments. Once again, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the comments that keep coming in. Please keep them coming. We love reading them. Also, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notify button, because we've got some really interesting and very exciting news coming up in the future, and we'd like to keep you in touch with that. Plus, we've got a new range of bite-sized features that are going to be going online in the near future, and we'd like to keep you abreast of those as well. So in the meantime, stay well, get afloat, stay safe. Till next time.